is an empowered woman. I decide to call you an empowered woman. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, senior journalist, we have Comfort Musa. Comfort Musa is a gender activist journalist. You are also a multiple award winner. Ma'am, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Killian.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm honored to be here with these powerful ladies. Acclaimed by so many who saw us bringing them to the program, and we hope that you're going to enjoy the discussion that we're going to have with them today. But as we usually do, we set the program rolling with a regular slot of the week, and it is press review done for us by the lady on the beat. It's Emanuela Vemnui. Emanuela.
As COVID-19 continues to threaten lives in Cameroon with surging number of new cases, newspapers have waged an information war against the pandemic. Municipal update sounds COVID-19 alert as PM faces frightening new COVID statistics on The Voice. Then warns that COVID-19 is very much here on Cameroon Insider before government goes firefighting due to upsurge in COVID-19 on the horizon. Travel ban is then imposed on top management staff on the Star as government hits hard on barrier measures on The Advocate. Minad Boss gives marching orders to governors and SDOs to reinforce COVID-19 fight on the Guardian Post. But with the danger that looms in schools on Cameroon Insider, the Secondary Education Minister institutes compulsory screening for students and teachers on the Post newspaper. Despite all these, Cameroonians are unmoved by government's fresh push on the Sun, with women defying government ban on public manifestation on the Eden newspaper. In the face of this, government set for first consignment of coronavirus vaccine on the Eden with the paper. But the post-weekender questions, will President Biya take COVID-19 vaccine like peers? The reintegration of ex-combatants receives a push, with Prime Minister demanding for acceleration on Cameroon Tribune. Then government strategizes on effective reintegration of ex-fighters on Cameroon Insider at a time the Post says the Anglophone crisis not on the National Assembly's agenda as the new parliamentary year kicks off on Cameroon Insider and Cameroon Tribune, even as Dr. Namanga Ngongi on the horizon insists Parliament should act now, perhaps as alleged separatists shut down Bamenda on the horizon. To the Guardian Post, one dead, others injured as suspected Amber fighters open fire on buses. Wednesday clashes are then said to have paralyzed Bamenda, leaves 2 soldiers dead on the Post-weekender. But the silver lining in the dark cloud would be the arrest of the dreaded Amber general in Konye on the Guardian Post, just when irate villagers chase Amber fighters from community in Bui on the same paper. Before a self-styled Ambazonian general apologizes for atrocities committed on the Herald Tribune, at the time Eric Tato tells Chris Anu, Field Marshal, apologize for killing Lebialem chiefs on the Guardian Post. All these leaving West Cameroon to sit on riches, yet walk in poverty on the Post-weekender. Then Minister Adum Gagum dies on the Guardian Post. The nation mourns him on Cameroon Tribune, and then Minister Gagum is interned on the Eden. Same honors are given to Professor Lantum on Cameroon Insider and the president of the Bar Council, Chakute Party, on the Median. In the words of the Guardian Post, NEO is a national shame. Let's now wrap up our press review with this report on the Post-weekender. Desmond recounts how he went through hell in the hands of his wife for love. The 36-year-old, who works in a car wash, says violence against men is real. After going through a lot of torture, both psychologically, sexually, and emotionally in the hands of his wife, who refused to get intimate with him for 4 years, the young man is said to have been heartbroken when the wife got pregnant for his best friend. Desmond left the wife for the sake of his health. He is just one among many said to suffer from domestic violence. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Thank you very much, Emanuela. We're waiting for you, by God's grace, next Sunday, same time, with the same slot. It actually spices our program. Thank you a million. Now, our topic, it's a man's world. We're talking about gender. Just want to ask whether this is a man's world. We know we are 1 week away from the celebration of the 8th of March. And in Cameroon, like elsewhere in the world, it was celebrated with a different color altogether. No pomp, no celebrations in the streets, in the grandstands and the rest. But we had discussions, roundtable conferences, and so many other activities that marked the day in Cameroon. And before we actually go into whether this world is owned by men over you, women, I want you to comment on the way Cameroon celebrated the 8th of March this year, which was done within the context of COVID-19, and probably it didn't suit so many who like to go celebrating, maybe exaggerating. Beginning with Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier when we were having a chat, I think that there's no problem with celebrations. I think we all agree that women should be celebrated. It is how the women are celebrated that matters. But I want to think that this year's Women's Day was marked by a lot of in-depth discussions on the way forward, on forward-looking strategies to enhance women's leadership, in society, in home and in society. So I think that all the roundtable conferences that were held, all the radio interviews that were done went further to enhance the theme of this year's celebration, women in leadership in challenging times. I don't like to say in COVID times, because COVID is a challenge. We have so many challenges, but I think COVID is a big challenge, but there are also shadow COVID matters that are not being brought to the table. So COVID seems to overshadow these shadow challenges that we have.
But you took care of all of those.
So we took care of all of those during the discussions.
Yes, Jesse, maybe COVID was an opportunity for women not to go to the type of excesses that we have noticed in the past celebrations of the 8th of March, where you have women, some of them, they strip themselves naked in public. Some of them, they go out and say, no, I will not go back home today. This is the one day that I have in a year to be free. Freedom, no limits.
Thank you. I think I liked the imposition of change that was brought by this present situation we're living, where the pandemic COVID is raging, and where we had to take measures to sort of have barriers to some of the excesses that we have. I, like my sister, I don't have anything against celebrating. It's in our culture as Africans to celebrate. It's in our culture as women to celebrate. But sometimes we need to stop and think more, because I think that for a few years now, women have laid emphasis on the celebration aspects, on the feasting. I mean, I organize women's activities in my office, and I can see that women were not enthusiastic this year because the celebration aspects of it were not there. Right. So I'm saying we should have given it the same value with the talks, with the conferences, with the discussions, the debates, as we give it when the celebration aspects are there. But most women just stayed away. Didn't participate because there was no feasting.
Maybe also because they like the excesses we are talking about, stripping themselves naked, or going and drinking, getting drunk.
Yeah, well, that would not be women from my office or from any offices, public offices. I think these are women who do not have the same values, like, or are not as cultured and educated as women who are working in the civil service, because there are different categories of women. There are women who are educated, cultured, exposed, and there are women who are just, who I say grew up like grass, without any trimmings, and so they celebrate differently. They would just go out there and be themselves. We will call it excesses. It will be expressing themselves for them.
Wow.
I'd like to play the devil's advocate here. I think that we should not underplay the way they celebrate or the way they choose to celebrate, because probably that's the only way they know how to celebrate.
Right.
And so what we can do is maybe guard them and tell them that there are other ways to celebrate without denigrating your womanhood or your femininity. So you do it in a way that enhances your womanhood.
Freedom.
No, it's not a question of, again, all of us need guidance every now and then. And so when they are exposed, like most of the women are now, to the discussions that raise the bar, then their awareness is raised on the importance of being a woman. It is not just the Women's Day. And I want to come back to the fact that maybe throughout the year, we should do also sporadic celebrations of women, not just wait for March 8th. I like the American system. They have a Women's History Month. So throughout the month of March, they celebrate all the achievements of women. And so maybe if we were to get into this frame of mind where we celebrate the Bayam Salams, we celebrate the women who stay at home, who are mothers, we celebrate the women who go to the market, every day, we celebrate women in their different areas and sectors, then we attach value to the things that they do, and then they feel that, yes.
Some of them will not go to such exercises. Thank you very much. Comfort. How do you appreciate the way last week's International Women's Day was celebrated? You did not go out to celebrate? Maybe you
Well,
were not
I
happy?
commemorated the day, and what I appreciate
As
about,
usual, or just because
it was different in context because of COVID. There were challenges, and the distancing and all the measures were respected. But what I appreciate about the commemoration this year is the fact that there was greater solidarity with women out of Cameroon, because what COVID has done is that it has pushed us to virtual spaces. And so what happened around the country, there were many virtual meetings, and so women in Cameroon, could connect, have solidarity with women out of Cameroon. There were many platforms. But what makes me, when you're asking the question, I was looking like, Killian, don't bring up the excesses. Over the years, Women's Day celebration in Cameroon, after 8th March, 9th of March, on virtually all TV stations, you get reports of excesses. Yes. And the excesses are actually the exceptions. Exactly. Women commemorate the day and they do amazing things, but somehow the narrative that we have is usually on the excesses. And even when there were no excesses, now you're asking us, how was it without the excesses? So let's not focus on the exceptions, because women over the years have celebrated in formidable ways, and excesses are bound to happen, whether or not it's on Women's Day. People get drunk.
I think you
People
say
sleep in
it so
gutters,
well,
so-
but we should focus also on the excesses, because it said that one bad green can spoil the whole bag.
But there are excesses every day, Killian. Every day when you walk home from when you drive home from work, there are drunkards in the street. So it's not a Women's Day celebration thing. It's an everyday thing. And if it happens on Women's Day, as a woman who goes out to celebrate and commemorate, I tell you, is the exception.
Okay.
Let me just say this, that it's really not a women's thing, these excesses. Yes. Because the men do it on a daily basis.
Right.
There are men who are picked up every weekend from gutters.
Are you defending women who do that?
No, I am not. I am just trying to resonate. I mean, her point resonated with me in a sense that we are looking for these excesses because it's Women's Day and because it's women. Whereas these things happen regularly with men. And also, I wanted to make the point that maybe we see them because we decide to see them.
Okay.
We go out looking for them.
Actually, I think we see them because the people reporting are putting on male lenses. And so they go out looking for those excesses so that they can say that here, we give women the freedom, and look at what they do with it.
And some women just
start
go out
putting
to make sure
on
that they
gender
get what they
lenses,
want.
my dear brother.
Yeah. And some women go out just to produce what those men want to project.
I don't think that they deliberately do that. When you go to a funeral celebration, for example, okay, and there are dances and there's drinking and people get drunk and they fall in the gutter and like you're saying, men fall down and all that. Nobody zeroes in on all of those things.
Exactly.
But why is it that when it comes to Women's Day celebration, for some odd reason, the men think that they should go and focus on these women dancing and raising their
They
Kamer?
think they've given us a day and we've decided to use it, in their words, to have excesses.
I think we need to focus on what is important, Kilian.
Exactly.
On Women's Day, there are women who had outreaches, they donated to orphanages, they bought things donated to IDPs, and we cannot spend time talking about the few who got drunk. That is not priority. It doesn't glorify that day.
I got all of you right.
Thank you very much.
Let me as a person, not just a woman, a man amongst women, say that a woman is a special being, made in a special way, and it is expected that that woman behaves in a special manner. That's why one woman who misbehaves
there you go again,
Kilian, there is more than one way to be a woman. There is more than one way to be a woman. There are women who love their alcohol and they will drink just as there are men. So don't say this is how women are supposed to be, and so we're looking at the exceptions. Again, that is not priority.
Okay, it's part of our topic for today. We're going to welcome Patrick Moy, who has finally come into the studio to complete the panel. As I said, it's part of that point that Comfort raises. Actually, what we are talking about today in our introduction, we talked about Virginia Woolf, who wrote an essay, A Room of One's Own, saying that if women had the same opportunities like men had in those days, in the patriarchal society that we inherited today, women would have been as good and women would have been in leading positions as they are. And there is an example linked to that in another essay, which came from a song by the Smiths, published in song in 1885, which is Shakespeare's sister. It talks about Shakespeare. When we talk about great writers, we talk about great people, we talk Shakespeare, we talk Molière, we talk only men in those days. So by singing about Shakespeare's sister, the author here is saying if women had the same opportunities, we would have had women equal to Shakespeare, quoted today. And that actually is our focus. It's gender. Is it a man's world? We're going to start with you, Patrick, because you are a man. Then we look at what caused women to be where they were before they started trying to come out of it.
Thank you very much, Kilian. I'll start by apologizing for arriving pretty late. But I knew that the powerful women that are on this set will certainly be animating the program as usual. Yes, it is a yes and a no question, because more and more the issue about promoting gender or fighting against gender-based violence and all of that has really been championed by women. Maybe by the mere fact that they are the most affected. But the dynamic seems to be changing in recent past, because we are seeing more and more that men are being brought on board. And it's very important for men to be actively part of that campaign.
Who is bringing who on board?
Women are bringing men on board to fight. To promote that they promote gender equality and all of that, to ensure that there isn't a gender inequality in our society. She just mentioned the He for She campaign, which started in 2014, launched by the then United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. The campaign has been a movement that has virtually spread across the world, rallying more than 1.5 million men worldwide to fight.
Have you been brought on board? Are you one of those men
who
have been brought on board?
Yes, I think so. In 2015, we attended a seminar organized by UN Women Cameroon, in which not only journalists were brought on board the campaign, because we are like drivers, we have a very important medium through which we can preach the best practices with regards to promoting gender. So I think men have been playing a vital role. And it's important because I mentioned at the start, because they are usually perpetrators of those crimes against...
That's why I ask who is bringing who on board.
Women are bringing men, like I said.
Okay.
It is their thing.
Okay.
It might be a war, but I think women play a vital role. They have been championing the campaign.
Okay. Finally landed.
It's a woman's world.
All right. Is it a man's world? Well, let me start off by saying it is a woman's powered man's world.
I like it that way.
I know that male dominance for years and decades has been baked in the cake. The way we've been socialized, the way society looks at women, and the roles that society has assigned to both men and women, hence the concept of gender, which is a construct. But we know that without the women, we're going to have a very sad and a very pitiful world. But we need to see that from Virginia Woolf to today, women have made deliberate steps to ensure that the issues are brought to the platform and discussed like we're doing right now, so that people begin to be aware of the important roles that women also play in society. I heard a young woman speak on radio the other day and says, maybe we should move from a prise de pouvoir to a prise de conscience. Meaning that the awareness creating does not only fall on the men, but also on the women. So that we have to come together. The cake is baked. So now we need to start baking another cake from scratch. With the different value systems that we want to see in society, so that women can begin to carve their own niche as equal partners in the development process, in peacemaking processes, so that men can begin to understand that it is a game of partnership, not pitting one over
against
the other.
Yes. Now you talk about equality, and I personally, and I know there are people who've risen like me, the point of equality to me and to so many who have come up on matters of gender say no, equality is not the issue. You could also, as you say, is a man's empowered world.
The woman's empowered world. Yes.
Empower the man to be what he is.
Yes.
When you say equal, are you not against women? Because
no.
Are you saying that if women came up today to occupy more positions, you would say, no, hold on, let's give to men because we have to be equal?
No. Once it's a question of mindset change. Now, if you have a change of mindset and you start looking at women as human beings, as people in society, like Desiderata says, no less than the stars and the trees, we all have a right to be here. So why do you want to negate the woman's right? It is her right to exist.
My point is on this word equality, which Gladys raised. I asked you the question. If we go for equity, I think we are saying if women come up and want to even go ahead, we are talking about social, cultural, economic, and political, they should go ahead and lead. But when you say equal, it's like, okay, if they come up to 50-50, oh, wait there.
No, no. I think what she's trying to say is that when we say equality, you start from a point when you're taking, measurements, right? So now the men are way up there and the women are down here. So they're working to get to equality. That does not mean that is where the limit is. That is not where the horizon ends. If and we can go beyond that, we will, if we are given the opportunity, and not by the men, because I was
going to ask that question.
Yes, because I'm not for tokenism. I think that women, on their own rights, if we have this paradigm shift that she's talking about, if we have the empowerment from ourselves, by ourselves, if we dig down inside us, because we have all the inherent qualities that gives us, that empowers us, or that can empower us to go further than we are today. And so I'll go to the question, is it a man's world? And I say definitely not. Because you might have the impression that you are running it because you are leading or because you are the bosses. But who is leading is the question. There is a big difference between the boss and the leader.
Who is leading?
The woman is leading.
From behind?
Yes, but she is leading. She is leading in the sense that she directs, she leads from the home. She's in charge. She takes care of the men, the children, the home, the family. She does everything. All that construct is conditioned by the woman.
Can you
then say that she is not the leader?
And say this
or
to
is
her
that not a
point.
woman's world?
To Jess's point, the woman is the iron hand on the padded glove. The padded glove is the man, but the iron hand under that padded glove is the one that controls. The man is the head, but the woman is the neck.
So you need not complain as women then.
No.
You need not complain. Because you rule. You need not complain because
we are not
you have the
complaining,
word. You control the men.
Killian,
we are not complaining.
It is not a question of control when you ask whose world is it.
Yes.
That response depends on who is speaking. A while ago we had press review, and I was keen on all the stories, major stories on Cameroonian newspapers this week. All the stories that were reviewed featured men. In a week where we're celebrating COVID and the leadership of women, the only story that they highlighted about a woman was a story of a man who left his wife because she had not had sex with him for I don't know how long. And I ask myself the question, someone who is looking at Cameroon through the lens of our media, whose stories were we telling this week in Women's Week? Who are the leaders of COVID response in Cameroon? Wait, Killian. And then when you bring up, one second, Patrick, when you bring up a woman, in the news this week, it's about her role having sex with her husband. So the question of whose world is it depends on whose perspective is it. And in Cameroon, it's largely a man's perspective, which is not a reflection of our reality.
No,
which is not a reflection of our reality because women are leading, but we are not being seen. Our stories are not being told, and we are not in the right places.
Are they leading in the right places or not?
We are leading in the right places. In the home where it matters. Okay?
Decisions,
in the family where it matters. But you are leading in the public spaces, and we are not seeing.
And that's where your fate is decided. The public spaces.
Right. That is why we would say we want equal opportunity in those places as well. You understand? Because we don't have it there in that space.
Yes, I have the impression that I'm being marginalized on this platform. The women have virtually swallowed.
Well, 3-1. Go ahead, Patrick.
That's fine. I would just to key in with from where come from Musa when she mentioned about the issues that attracted the press during the week. During a period which women are expected to be celebrated. I tell you, women are celebrated on a daily basis. And whether you like it or not, the woman has to push her way through. It will not be the man to uplift the woman. The level where the woman becomes dominant.
We totally agree. Yes. That is why we said that the empowerment has to begin with us. We have to empower ourselves. We have to embrace the power. Even in the traditional systems and our cultures and traditions. I come from the Salt land was founded by a woman. So I think inherently, so inherently the woman is in a position of power. But are we embracing the power? And are we using the power in the ways that we need to so that it should come to the fore? My daughter told me that women's achievements usually are swept under the rug. When a man does something, that thing is highlighted. Kami was just saying, we listen to the news. What are we talking about? Which woman is featuring there? And what is that woman doing?
Now,
you understand?
Patrick, you took from Kamer's intervention. Now, let me ask you, why because one of the papers reviewed there was the Guardian Post, and you are a desk editor in that newspaper. Why didn't you cover women? Why do you not?
We did. Maybe the reviewer decided not to feature on.
No, you cannot blame them.
To be honest with you, Killian, I think we dedicated the Tuesday edition of the Guardian Post. We featured women. We profile women that were doing exceptional things in areas where hitherto was believed to be the man's kind of male-dominated activities and all of that. I think maybe the reviewer didn't. That aside, the issue about gender appear to be so much focused on women. If we're promoting gender, we should be promoting both sexes.
Parity.
So, but each time you hear about fighting against gender-based violence and stuff like that, it appears to be some kind of too focus on women. And that is
why, right?
Men sometimes.
You know why? Because women from the beginning...
You're reasoning on my behalf.
Well, it's a discussion.
My reasoning might be different from yours.
Okay, go ahead.
My understanding is that we are focused so much on women, and we seem to be neglecting the fact that the male gender too has to be promoted.
No, women are suffering from the hands of
all of us are suffering. We might be suffering and smiling at the same time, Killian, because men, we are tough to the extent that we can be suffering at home and smiling in public. We does not give the impression that our rights too are not trampled upon.
We're going to get into that, and the parity and justice and all of that.
Important.
But when you look at the scales, right?
Yeah.
It's
not balanced.
It's not balanced.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
The scales are tipped in favor of the men.
Yeah.
And that is why the women
want... we neglect one aspect to the time that we get to 50-50?
I think the approach to inclusive and sustainable development is not digging a pit and creating a mountain.
Yes.
We are trying to bring a balance, and to bring a balance, you need to ask yourself, how far do we need to bring A to the center?
I think that's
and
where
for now,
the discussion.
That focus, which looks like a lot on the women, is actually what we need to do.
Yes.
To come to that level where we're on the level.
To the 50-50 agenda,
no, it's not.
Stop promoting the rights of men.
Patrick, it's not about a 50-50 agenda.
Because the impression is one week to Women's Day, a very sad incident happened in Zimbabwe. I didn't see much hype, condemnation on the social media. A 31-year-old woman was caught red-handed having sex with a 13-year-old boy in Zimbabwe. Very few women took to their social media handles to condemn and say
no. What about the 60-year-old man who rapes a 4-year-old child?
We are saying the same thing. Let's go down simultaneously as the fight is ongoing.
Let us not go down. Let us not go down that rabbit hole.
Because the proportion is not the same.
Patrick,
I'm sure that's why there are 3 women here against 1.
No,
that's not the issue. Now,
Patrick, I want Killian, please let me commend Patrick. I think that you raised a very important point, and that is the point of the he for she campaign.
That's right.
And that is why we need to keep heightening the awareness, so that men like you can also join the fold to ensure that there is that parity.
I've already joined.
We just came out of watching YP rally, and I looked at the little boys and girls going. I mean, no inhibitions. They were just, children having a good time. And I asked myself the question: where did the disconnect happen? When does it happen that all of a sudden boys start thinking that they are better off?
That is the question. That is the question. Now, with that said,
quite early. I think that even you watch them. And they're working together.
Yes,
that's what you see.
Yes,
but if you watch them on their own, you will see that barrier is already there. That divide is already there. If you go naturally, if you just take them into a room today and say, okay, take your seats, you'll see the boys flock on one side and the girls on the other side.
Yes, so it has to start from there.
It's just there because they've been socialized at home, in school by their peers that
they are the superior.
Yes, the boys are superior.
Yes.
And even the mothers and the parents tell them that boys can't do this because you are a boy, so you can't be seen doing this. You can't be seen doing that.
Boys don't cry.
Yes, because you are a boy. And they'll ask the girls to do otherwise.
But Jesse,
you have an agenda 2030.
It starts from there.
Agenda 2030.
Yes, agenda 2030 that you are working towards the, let me call the agenda by your name, parity. Now, in Cameroon, let me give these figures. In government, we have 11 ministers who are ladies. We have 61 members of National Assembly who are women. We have 26 who are in the Senate. 61 members of the National Assembly out of 180. We have 26 senators out of 100. Then we have 31 mayors out of 360. We even step it up to 374 because we have the city mayors and the rest. Now, when you look at this,
don't forget the regional.
Yeah, we are talking also about the regional council.
Zero.
What is stopping you from coming up to this level?
Killian, people ask this question all the time. Why are more women not voting women, you know, into these offices? Let's look at the traditional systems of the parties.
Yeah.
Who vets who on which list?
Exactly.
Who has the power to put a woman on a list? And the systems for now are still too patriarchal. I give you a case in point. There was a lady in the Northwest with the SDF party. I did a report on her, Dinah Ambofe, and she wanted to run for elections. She put her name on a list, and this is a report I did. The village council and the politicians called her into a room, drew some line on the floor, and said, if you know you are a true daughter of this cross this line and you will go. And so you have patriarchal systems that really limit women, you know, from even getting into the list.
Yes.
And you have party systems where, look at the SDF, their policy has chairman. You may say no, it's just terminology. But if it is documented, people grow up knowing that a party leader has to be a man. Same with the CPDM, same with most other parties.
So what should you do? Let her answer first. What is supposed to be done?
What should be done at this level is that we need to review party policies. We need to review the influence of traditional authorities in party systems, because when you talk to women, they will tell you, it was our chief who called me to back out. It was this minister who called me to back out, because of who runs which parties.
Very good.
And
That is even at the level of the traditional setup.
Traditional setup, primary setup of the party.
Now, let me just see, there is a point related to what she is saying, because when you take it from that traditional setup and you come up, the main problem, because if at the traditional level, women are not at the local level, women are excluded in the way she is
excluded in policy.
Yes, and it is in the law. The problem is the electoral code itself. The best that is given to a woman in the electoral code when it comes to regional elections, it comes to parliamentary, it comes to other elections, council elections, is the gender aspect. That's as much as it is said. If it were that this out of 7, 3 or 4 must be women, that's where your fight should go.
Let me say this, that I am really adverse to this idea of tokenism. We are not,
we're not tokens.
We're not tokens to be handed out, as gifts to people. We don't want handouts. What needs to be done, right, is that we need to change the narrative for the women.
Without going through the law?
No.
Legislation?
No. While I agree with her that we have limitations within the party systems and the traditional system, we also need to educate the women that they need to be bolder and more daring.
Embrace
They need
power.
to accept the powers, the inherent powers that they have.
Maybe I should say something.
Let me just go and get to the end of my thought. Down, because the truth is, women do not embrace all the powers that they have, their abilities and the skills that they have. Because if you took me into a room and said, cross this line, if we had women who knew who they are,
I would.
You tell me, cross this line. No, that is why I said we need to raise awareness. We need to educate women that they need to be more daring.
They have authority.
Killian. Killian, that is why
that you cannot enter.
Killian.
All the other women are
It should not even exist. You should not even be bullied out of your aspirations in the first place.
Killian, let me tell you this. They tell women widows, oh, if you don't take that bath, you're going to die. There are women who have not taken that bath and they have not died. They didn't die. So women should stand up, should be more daring. They should take their destinies in their hands and say that, we are not going to accept gifts from you, quotas and whatever. That is the narrative that needs to change. Women need to raise their strength.
A new cake with new parameters.
Yes. Patrick.
Yes. The issue is, some of these truths have to be told. Women seem not to have confidence even in themselves. Especially in their, if you can imagine a woman not having confidence in herself, she cannot have confidence on her peer.
Exactly.
So, for example, in 2011, 2 women were seeking the office of president. How many women voted for them? Esther Ndang and the others. women do not even see them like leaders, like they can assume the highest office of the land.
I think that's not where the issue is.
Women must be able to serve. It is part of the problem.
It is part of
At the level of appointment.
Women should not just go for a woman,
Patrick, to
because
your
it's
point,
a woman.
To your point, and
we have
Kmer
to
said it, to your point, it is the patriarchal systems which have been ingrained in our minds for so long. We've been socialized to think that a president should be a man. So you grow up seeing that and thinking, I keep saying, we have had 4 world conferences on women, deliberate and intentional, with ideas and guideposts for how women can move the women's agenda forward. Why has much not changed?
Because the rhetoric is
because the mindset has not changed.
We have to change the mindset of women.
That's why we're saying that we need. That's what we're saying right now. That
changing.
we need that change.
I think that part of changing that mindset is not doing what you are saying, that just because a woman is a woman as a presidential candidate, without the necessary argument, qualification, you have to go behind that woman. I think I've listened to some women who say, no, if a woman comes up and she does not have the requirements, the qualification, we don't go for
Of course, I'm one of them.
Sure, competence.
No,
You vote competence.
I tell women that
You vote competence.
women must be excellent at everything that they do.
Another thing that we must
you become unforgettable. You must be excellent. We cannot have mediocrity when it comes to women, because that is the only way we are going to push the envelope.
Exactly.
Kmer is a fantastic journalist. I will back her up.
So for running for public office, you vote Kmer?
I will vote Kmer.
No.
If Jesse is running, I will vote.
And not you, because she can do the job.
I see the cabal.
Because we also have to be intentional in getting the women there.
I'll appoint you. I'll press. I'll make you
intentional.
What
Intentional is the word.
Intentional, because
Intentional is the word.
we have to be intentional in getting the women there. So if I have a qualified woman and a qualified man, I will go for the qualified woman, because we are trying to meet a target.
This is true
because we are trying to get the women there.
And also because the woman's way of leadership is people-centered. I'm sorry to say this, but men are structured, they are clinical, but women embrace humanity. And so I will go for the woman.
We agree, but this is the question.
Sorry.
What will you do? What will you do? What will you do with the men whom you will find on your way as you bring in this qualified woman? Because men, as we say, are the ones there. What do you do with those?
That's where her point comes in, where she says we need to change the patriarchal system and the institutions that exist. We need to change the texts, the laws, because they are very important. But before we get there, or when we do that, if there are no women to take the position, then we lose everything. The seats. So we have to start with ourselves.
From Beijing in 1995 to today, you want to continue with sensitization education?
No. That's what we're saying. We are changing the rhetoric. From Beijing, we're talking about equality, right? About getting the women.
Beijing was women's rights are human rights.
Right.
In 85, it was equality, development, and peace.
Right.
In Copenhagen, it was women's decade. They have a decade for women. They had a year for women, a decade for women, and then every 5 years they had a re-evaluation of how far we have gone. Things have been done. Let's not just.
There has been progress. You read.
You want to continue to do the same things?
No. We have been working on one track, which is what I'm saying is this: those things have been dealing with institutions. Okay, have been dealing with bringing change within institutions and policy and countries to get women to
gender mainstreaming
into the system. Now we are saying that we need to change the narrative and say women. We cannot keep waiting on these people to change their laws, to change the institutions, to change policies to get us in there. We need to work on ourselves.
Thank you.
We need to do it ourselves.
Yes. What do you have
the
to do?
education is changing in the sense that we're not waiting anymore for institutions.
We're empowering ourselves.
We're empowering ourselves. We're trying to get women to know that they have the power
at this moment,
inherent to do it.
At this moment that we speak, this moment as we speak, we have the electoral law, electoral code,
which is not even gender sensitive.
That's what I'm talking about. No, I don't see how many women are teaming up to make sure that those laws are changed. Now, that's one. That's one. Second thing, Parliament is sitting right now.
Yes.
I don't see specific laws that are going to say we are where we are because the laws favor men. And you seem to be downplaying the law when I think it's
you read numbers.
Yes.
The statistics that you gave point to one thing, that there's been progress.
Yes.
True, we're having more women in these spaces. What must happen, for more progress?
Should I tell you exactly what happened that you had the progress?
What must happen?
Let me tell you what happened that you had that progress. Was in 2013 during the senatorial election that were followed by the parliamentary elections later that year. And it's one person who got up was President Paul Biya, who said, in all CPDM lists, because it actually, I'm telling you, this is a fact.
Yeah, if you don't, all right, Kilian,
we are talking about the law.
I thought you were going to complete my thought, but you've taken it
the other way.
The other way.
Because
what must happen is that the few women that are there need to mentor more women, because you don't just wake up one day and become president. We need experience. We need these women to show us how did you break the ground.
Yes, what
can you do? We need more women to be mentored, and we need young women, Kilian, to see more women in power in Cameroon. Yes. A young girl in Boya or in Betwa, who does she see as people holding power? It's the SDOs, it's the governors, it's the commissioners in their town, and often it's men, and now the regional councillors. Since independence, Cameroon has not had a female governor. We've not had a prime minister. For those who watch TV, CRTV, there's never been a female GM. And these are the images of power that women see, and so we grow up. Even those who are educated want to run for some of these offices, but sometimes we just don't know how, because we've not seen examples. So while we are hoping that more women are elected, there is an easier thing that can be done. Right. Let women be appointed. It takes just someone
to appointed
offices. Women should be appointed. We need a female governor in Cameroon.
The playing field.
We need more women in the board.
Because instead of mine is go for the law. Modify the
because
law.
You were saying that the president said all civilian leaders should have
women. You are very correct. Yes. And this is what civil society organizations are doing. Most of the NGOs that are working on women's issues are looking critically at the different laws and the laws that discriminate against women. And they're forming lobby groups. This is work that is being done on the ground. Women are thinking critically in order to act strategically. So we need to take it step by step. We cannot take it in gulp sizes. We need to take it in bite sizes. Yeah. Secondly, when women get to the table, they must pull the other women up. They must be able to identify all the other women who are competent and raise the flag and say, look at this woman. She's able to do this and this and that.
Walt Disney says, if you can dream it, you can do it. How do you dream it? By seeing others do it. And you follow the example. If the young girls growing up do not see role models that they can aspire to, that inspire them to do things, it's most of the time unintentional, these role models, what they actually accomplish. Because I know lots of women, young girls who will walk up to me today and say, I became a journalist because of you. I never did. Yeah. Thank you. So I never knew what I was doing.
You inspired comfort, you inspired so many.
Yes. Now, that's why I'm saying
so many
women need to be put in those positions. Okay? So that's why I'm asking that they should be appointed so that it can open the minds, the eyes of the young girls, so that they too can aspire and grow
look at what Kamala Harris has done for women
in America.
Women of color in the world. Yes. All the little girls now dream that they can also become.
Can I have the opportunity to
talk? A while ago, Kilian was saying that the president asked that on all CPDM lists they should have women. That's a good thing. And now we're pleading that on all appointments, His Excellency the President should also have women as governors and in other key positions in this country.
Well, we already have, but we are telling you.
No, it's not. Come on, the numbers are not there. They're not visible.
Yes,
we need more.
You talk on law first, then you go ahead with your point.
Yes, the law. I think at the moment the law already favors the women.
How do you mean?
Especially for elective positions, women should be able to to take the lead without necessarily somebody necessarily pushing from behind. The laws are favorable.
Like what?
At the level of
appointments are discretionary.
I'm talking about elective public offices, for example. For example, at the level of the local councils, if it's a man is the mayor, one of the deputies must be a woman.
Why?
No, I'm saying that in the case where we have female mayors in this country, at least we have female mayors.
Right.
So many of them, especially even in Northwest and Southwest. We have so many in Bakassi areas and so on.
We are talking about 31,
the progress we applaud. And there is a ministry. There's no ministry in charge of men in this country.
But there's a ministry.
There's a ministry in charge of women.
We have sorted that out. We've sorted that out. Because we need.
No, sometimes it's good to remind ourselves of.
No, because we need to pay attention to bring the women to where they have to be in society, in the public arena. That's why we
want
need
to commend the work that
and that is why we need a women's day.
But we don't have a ministry in charge of men.
Now we are going to welcome Elvis Teke. Elvis Teke has been following up the reactions from our viewers as we discuss here. There are people who have been keen watching us and sending in reactions. Connecting to CRTV web Facebook. We have, I suppose, a good number of reactions. Elvis Teke, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Killian. Quite a good number of reactions. We may not be able to read all, but just a few we can. We begin with Rose Uba, who says the underrepresentation of women in leadership positions is really a call for concern. And Alo Martin immediately responds by saying that it is not voting, it's a presidential appointment. Kwa Jacob says positions are never given and they should be taken. I want to see more female mayors. Eno Mani Samuel says, from my understanding, the word gender, it refers to the way or what the society sees you to be. And Prince Mutapene Obesa says, I don't think it's a man's world anymore. Things have changed and gradually but surely things should move to the better. And we end with Dito Boris, who says, as much as some women have stood on their feet to fight for gender equality, some women are still trying hard that a woman is the weaker sex. And that's where we'll end.
Thank you very much, Elvis. You listen to those reactions from our viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time we are saying ladies. Generally it's gentlemen.
You need to change that dynamic.
Yeah, we are struggling to change. That's why you are here. Now we have about 6 minutes to go to the end of the program. There are some other areas where men actually feel that they control the world. We have in terms of marriage, when one of the spouses dies, a woman is supposed to live for long before remarrying, whereas a man can go around. You know that better than me. In terms of adultery, proving it alone favors a man. That's a woman. You just have to establish that a woman did this and she is condemned. You have in terms of rape also, I know we're talking about copying. In Cameroon, in Africa, I should say, we hear that some of you are saying that your husband can rape you. Those are things that Africans don't. We're going to comment on some of those aspects.
How can a husband rape the wife?
Okay, we'll start with you.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious how a man can rape the wife.
Let me tell you how a man can rape the wife.
Sex is supposed to be mutual consent.
Yes.
And so when one party does not consent, it is rape.
At any given time.
At any given time,
Yes.
whether you're married or not.
It's not debatable.
Those are things that are inheriting from the West.
No, it's not inheritance from the West. You see, listen, like she says, it's consensual. You know, you have to ask and I have to respond. Right? If I do not respond,
it can just be sexual violence. It cannot be rape. With all due respect, it cannot be rape.
Between
the violence because maybe at that moment, maybe rape. You can imagine forcing yourself on somebody. How can you force yourself?
Now,
listen.
Contextually, it's not the same.
No, can I give you an example?
If it comes at the
not
time,
because she's available to you,
if it comes at the
that
time,
means that you can have her anytime you want.
Now,
Can we give him a clear example?
At that time, you reject him.
Let's give him a
If he
clear
goes
example.
away, if he goes out, will you blame him?
No, let me give you a clear Killian.
Okay.
Can I give him a clear example?
I would rather not get
You are
down to those
home,
nitty-gritties.
and your husband goes out, he has a good time, he's been drinking and he's drunk, okay? And he comes back home and he's, you probably are sleeping and he forces himself on you. How do you explain that? Is it because he's entitled because he's your husband?
If next
Is that
time
correct?
The definition of
What
rape
is the
doesn't
definition of-
change
it doesn't
with the
change.
perpetrator. It doesn't
Okay.
matter if it's your husband or it's your
Now,
straight-
that
or
was-
it's a
we have
straight-
under-
You touched something that concerns me directly, and that is the thing of widowhood and when
widowhood, that's one of them.
Yes, when the man dies, you know, and all of that, and the woman is forced to undergo all of these kinds of practices and
Yes.
things. I want to say that, unfortunately, those things happen, but things are changing.
Okay.
Things are changing. And that is why we need to empower the young girls to know that before you get married, have something to do. Have something that you can call your own. Because if your partner were to leave you, then you would have the responsibility, the sole responsibility, to raise your family. The onus is on you. Why you don't get married immediately, the widows you said, whereas for the man it's easy, it's a choice you make. I could have gotten married after my husband died, but I made the choice because I had daughters and children to raise. I thought that it would be better for me to concentrate on that and do that. It's a personal choice. That
Others are quest.
you know, if a woman so chooses, and this is what my point is, that after her husband passes, she would like to remarry, she should have that opportunity and the ability to do so.
Yes, another very spicy, dicey thing that actually makes some people feel that the man is a man's world is a man simply needs to accuse a woman or catch her anywhere out of the home and say adultery is good for divorce. But a woman has to get him on the matrimonial bed and also even have to prove after that. It's a man's world.
The laws make it a man's world. But the reality is not that. I stand by my word at the beginning of this of the program that it's not a man's world. But the laws seem to favor the men. And it goes back from our traditional societies, you know, and even from our socialization, because the women have, for this long, not done much about those things, or have not been able to overcome some of those things, even within the society, because they have been boxed in, and they need
to come out of the
box. To come out of the box. Yes, they are trapped, and they need to be able to break and come out.
Yes, one other thing that men are holding women down is that economically they are not. In terms of land ownership, you have just about how many women? 3% of women who own property, and in terms of in their name, you have 1.6%.
Yeah.
How do you come out of this?
Well, the thing with land ownership and land rights in Cameroon is that a lot has changed. If you're a woman who's working and you have your money, what stops you from buying your land? Issues of land ownership come into play where there are traditions where customs say a woman cannot inherit land. But even that depends on the family. My father gifted me a plot of land.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's good.
So in that case, I think that it's contextual. It depends on who
now
is involved.
We are almost getting to the end of the program. Last word, Patrick.
Well, I think the debate continues is whether it's a woman. No, I will not want to pull the blanket towards my own direction, but I think we all own the wall. It depends on how you fight to get what you want.
Okay, Jesse.
My last word?
Yes.
I would like to urge women. My last word is that women should become more daring. They should be more courageous. That they have it in them, all it takes to be able to break the glass ceilings in whatever fields they are, circumstances they find themselves, situations, and that they should be deliberate in making a plan for their lives.
Thank you very much.
Women, you are individuals. No, I just want to say this, that every woman should decide that they should have a legacy. They should leave a legacy before they leave the
Thank
stage
you very much.
And picking up on the legacy, a legacy is not something that you bequeath to people, it's something that you leave in people. And so my onus now is passing it on, paying it forward. My mantra is a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. So my work is to light as many female young girls' candles as I can, so that they can push forward the agenda and make sure that women have equal spaces, equal opportunities to fulfill their truest, best possible selves. who that they want to be in society.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. We are 1 minute into the time of the next program. We want to thank you sincerely for coming to this debate table today. And we thank you also, ladies and gentlemen, for giving us your time. That was it today. If you miss out on this program from the beginning, you can watch a rebroadcast on Monday between 2:30 and 3 p.m. or you just connect to CRTV Facebook, CRTV Web Facebook, and you can watch the program at your convenience. Thanks once again, and have a nice day.